the previous, the larger bid in the process. And so any of the underground wiring, setup, that type of thing is not a part of this project.
And this whole technology is changing so quickly on the LED lights that when it does go forward, I would see that technology being applied, and the spacing and the wire requirements for that type of technology of lighting is different than the conventional wiring that's been in place for the last 30 years.
So is the final surface down? Did they?
What you see down there now, even with the coloration, is the surface that is put on there prior to the rubberized surface. And they are not going to do anything else beyond that this fall.
They needed 16 days of 60-degree weather because of the multiple coats and 2 days of drying between every coat. There's like 8 coats.
So the surface that's on there now is not going to be damaged or anything with the weather or anything because it doesn't have that top surface on it? Yeah.
No, it still has a kind of a seal coating to it right now to prevent moisture from going into it, but it doesn't have a cushion aspect to it and then the buildup. And there was some concern because of the sort of the split application were we going to be burdened with extra cost here? And Louis Trenchant has assured me that it's not the case. So we won't incur any additional cost by doing this in this two-step application. So we still get a usable tennis court surface right now, but we won't have a cushion court until spring.
So is the cushion, is it clear? Is that why it's painted now? So it's like a hockey rink where there's actually a cushion surface over and that's what you see, or does that just go on, is that colored too? I mean, I'm just concerned of what's the point of painting it if you're going to put something over it?
Well, it was, the paint, the line work was redundant to get us a court that still could be usable right now. And so the line work that they did today is redundant and will be covered up when the cushion coat goes down the top of it. The cushion is like a ½ inch thick. It goes on top of that, and then there's multiple coats on top of the cushion.
But that cushion itself is colored or it's clear that you see? I mean, so when you see...
It has a color to it, but then there's color that applies over top of the cushion. So it's a multiple layer buildup, and that's why they need 16 days because of the multiple steps here.
Bottom line is they put the lines on today, and they've indicated, Louis Trenchant have indicated that it's playable over the weekend. So, give the lines a couple days to cure. And the actual surface that you find there right now is pretty much what a typical tennis court surface would be like. So it's very similar to the hard court that people are accustomed to. And we will have our netting apparatus is portable. It can be moved from one location to another. That allows us multiple use. Time of the year to think about snow removal, unfortunately, but we've had the past 2 vendors that have always been very competitive, Dan Snow Plowing and Mike Snow Plowing. They had identical bids this year in terms of removal of the snow. You'll see that in the packet. They had differences, though, however, in salt application. And if you make a comparison, you'll see that Dan Snow Plowing is the more competitive bid in reference to salt application. My recommendation is to approve Dan Snow Plowing for all snow removal and salt application for the district, since he had the lower bid with the salt application.
We have a motion to approve.
Now, in the past, we've split them. Is that what I'm reading right?
Yes.
Okay, so I move that the Galena Board of Education approve the 2 bids submitted by Dan Snow Plowing bid for snow removal and salt application at the middle school and upper high school lots and snow removal and salt application at the primary school and lower high school lots.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Gordy. We need a roll call.
Member Lewis?
Yes.
Member Montgomery?
Yes.
Member Nan?
Yes.
President Miller?
Yeah.
Member Townsend?
Yes. Okay, the next item is recommendation to accept donations.
2 very kind donations to the district, one coming from PTK, the purchase of another smart board for the primary building, and the second coming from Patricia Ward, a donation to the Drama Club of $1,000. And I recommend the board's acceptance of both those kind of generous gifts to the district.
Move the Galena Board of Education accept a $1,000 donation from Ms. Patricia Warren to the ground book.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Second, okay, second, sorry.
Michelle?
All in, yes, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed? None, motion carried. Now we need a motion to accept the purchase of a smart board.
I move that the Galena Board of Education accept the donation for the purchase of a smart board for the Galena Primary School.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Second by Gordy. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, motion carried. Okay, we need an update report on the 30th day enrollment figures, past and present.
Each year we provide these numbers, just for your perusal. Student population, probably more than any other data figure, gives the board an understanding of what is happening within the district. And it helps to project particularly staffing requirements. Of course, that gets into the resource type of need as well. And I'm delighted to say, once again, that we're seeing pretty stable enrollment. And in fact, this year, the district is up 11 students. Last year, down 19, this year up 11. I would suggest that the main difference is just the ins and outs in terms of how many students graduate versus how many students come into kindergarten. And obviously, we have some migration in from different grade levels, but by and large, this shows a pretty stable student population.
The at-risk preschool, the 40, that's max? Is that the
Yes,
maximum?
that's the
So there's probably more out there.
There could well be,
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
Preschool situation.
Okay, well, the next item is finalized work session, consideration of Board of Education goals and action plans. So we have to put aside some time here that we can work on goals. And I know you put out the information to the staff on.
Certainly will. I've invited staff, provide some feedback on last year's goals. We'll repeat that to staff once again.
Mhm. Okay, I need a motion to set that work session date for the goals and action plans.
So moved.
Okay, it's moved by Nancy to set the work session for November 2nd. Do we have a second? Second, Michelle. Okay, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? None?
You recall that the buses that we're using this year are new buses, not any longer, but they were new buses, and they only have a one-year lease. So, trying to get planning in place for next year, the question is what to do. David requested of our representative from Midwest Transit to provide us some data regarding two things. What would new leasing look like, just like we did for this year? What would extending our lease look like? And so if you make the sharp comparison between keeping our existing buses with that of new, obviously you're talking $1,500 per bus. 12 buses, $16,000, $17,000, $18,000 a year. First of all, we are a relatively low mile district. We have to have a lot of buses because we have a lot of different fingers that we have to pick up students from. But the buses that we have end up with very low miles.
10 to 11,000.
Something like that.
For the longer route ones, yeah.
And when we return them with a contract of no more than 14,000.
14 is the limit.
I think on average, we put 5 or 6 on
Probably,
in
yeah.
that neighborhood. So my logic would be, we've got new buses now, we're treating them well, they're traveling on hard surface roads primarily, they're gonna be relatively low miles. At least one more year would make perfect sense. Plus, we don't have to switch out any of the equipment that we own. The cameras, the radios, things like that take time, energy, and are somewhat of an inconvenience. The only thing that we have that would be my estimation, any kind of an inconvenience, is that we would have to provide storage space for them during the interim between end of the school year and beginning of the school year. That is the one thing that would have to happen. I don't see that as being an obstacle to making a decision regarding continuing the lease. I'm not recommending any decision tonight. We have time.
So if we want to extend the lease then for another year with the current buses, do we have to do anything? We don't have to go out to bid or anything, do
No,
we?
no,
So we just extend it.
we'll extend it. Then there's a terrific advantage in that. That's,
What are the average miles probably per bus that we put on here?
For
5 to
last year,
6, is that what from conversation, or?
yeah, we had a couple that were up around 12,000, and then there was a lot of them down around the 4,000 to 5,000 range. The ones that are principally the town routes and close in, that had drivers that don't like to do extra trips in that. So some of my routes that are only 20 miles, but those drivers did a lot of trips, they come very close to the 10,000 miles. So
Okay.
So would we
I don't
rotate?
see, the lease calls, I think JR pointed out to Dale, we gotta watch tire wear. Well, I don't think with 28,000 miles on them, say if we went to the high end of 14,000 on a bus for 2 years, you're gonna see that there's gonna be over 60% of the wear is gone from the tires. So they were in good shape last year after 1 year, and I don't see that they would reduce the tires that much more in another year.
I agree.
Like Dale says, we've only got, I think there's one route that has maybe a mile of gravel that he travels. Everything else is now seal coated and hard surface running, so that extends the life quite a bit.
So is it logical to maybe think about extending it 2 more years? There's another 12,000 now. We're doing all mileage. Go to the 2-year lease situation instead of the 1.
Would we rotate those buses then so that the high mileage
Yes, we
ones
would, yeah, we
just-
would make sure that there was more rotation done. And the signs are magnetic for the colors, so.
David, what's your thoughts in terms of?
My thought, I don't think that we'd be hurt at all by going to a 3-year lease with these brand new ones. I mean, the ones we had that were 1-year-olds last year, they came to us with over 10,000 miles, 8 to 14,000 miles on them. And, we put 1 more year on, and we just didn't put that many miles on them. But I think we can go 3 years easily, save ourselves some money and hassle, as you say, for switching out equipment. I see no problems with these buses running that long without having anything major.
That kind of mileage, I'd be surprised.
Right.
Are you looking at an oil change for each of those in that time frame? Probably.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
What about a tire change? Do you think?
Probably wouldn't need any tires, maybe a couple of those higher mileage ones, but
Well, the other thing is, our mileage, if you've ever ridden our buses, one thing you'll recognize right away, they hardly ever get up to speed. Most of our roads, they're traveling 35 miles an hour maximum, I would say, to get on the highway. Some,
I would be more inclined to go with the 2-year lease, because you're talking another over $1,000 a bus. The odds of anything but an oil change are in your favor.
well, and the fact that we do our own oil changes out there
Right.
saves quite a bit of money too.
I make a motion to extend the lease on the existing buses for a 2-year lease at $12 per bus.
Second by Tom. Okay, could we have a roll call? Please?
Member Montgomery?
Yes.
Member Nance?
Yes.
President Miller?
Yes.
Member Lewis?
Yes.
Member Townsend?
Yes.
As of the 15th of October last year, and the same approximate start date of the school year, we'd run 5,100 miles of extra trips. So far this year, we've run 6,200. We're using less outside buses and vans. We now have the multi-purpose activity bus that we've been using. I think we're going to find that there's been more use of that than we'd ever considered before. So I think we're going to find more things that we use in-house than we even had anticipated before with it.